When you're trying to secure a massive industrial site, we're talking warehouses, factories, you name it, your locks are pretty much the first and most important line of defense. But here's the thing, not all locks are created equal, not by a long shot. So today we are going to unlock the secrets behind what makes a lock truly high security. We'll dive into the amazing technology that keeps our most valuable assets safe.
You've probably heard the term high security thrown around a lot, right? But what does it actually mean? It's so easy to just assume it means a bigger, heavier chunk of metal, but honestly, the real answer is way more interesting than that.
Exactly. Real high security is all about the brilliant engineering inside the lock. It's about having layers upon layers of defense, all designed to shut down specific kinds of attacks. I'm not just talking about lockpicking or drilling. We're also talking about a sneaky technique called bumping, where a special key can vibrate the pins just right to open the lock. This is all about brains, not just simple brawn.
So, let's really get into it and unpack what these advanced technologies actually are. And to see how they work in the real world, we're going to look at some top-notch examples from one of the leading manufacturers out there.
All right, let's kick things off with the lock cylinder, the part your key actually goes into. We're going to start with a top-tier example, the MT5+, which is pretty much the gold standard for protection.
So, the secret sauce that makes a lock like the MT5 Plus so incredibly tough to crack is something called telescopic pin technology. Now, instead of a single, simple pin that needs to be lifted, this system uses a pin within another pin. A lockpicker would have to align both the inner and the outer pins at the exact same time for every single pin in that lock. You can imagine, this just multiplies the complexity like crazy, making it an absolute nightmare for anyone trying to get in. But here's the thing. Even with the most pick-proof lock on the planet, there's still a potential weak spot, one that can bypass all of that brilliant engineering in a heartbeat. Seriously, think about it for a second. If someone can just stroll into a hardware store and get a copy of your key made, well, your super fancy, multi-layered, high-tech lock is suddenly pretty much worthless. So how in the world do you control who can and cannot make a copy of your key? Well, the answer is something called patented key control. This is a genius system where the key blank itself is protected by a patent. That means it literally can't be legally copied by just anybody. To get a new key, you have to show up with a specific ownership card, a lot of times it's a magnetic one, to an authorized dealer. This puts all the power right back in your hands. You know exactly how many keys are out there, and you know exactly who has them.
Of course, it's not a one-size-fits-all world. Other cylinders use their own clever innovations. The Interactive Plus model, for example, also uses that pin-within-a-pin idea for some serious pick resistance. And then you have something like the Garrison model, which is a more cost-effective solution. It uses these specially designed mushroom-shaped pins that are made to catch and jam up the whole mechanism if a lockpicking tool starts messing with them. Pretty smart. So here's how you can think about it. The MT5 Plus is what you get when you need the absolute best, maximum protection, no compromises. The Interactive Plus is a fantastic, reliable workhorse for most commercial security needs. And the Garrison gives you a really solid, high-security option that's a bit friendlier on the budget.
Okay, so we've covered doors, but obviously not everything is secured behind a door. For things like shipping containers, big warehouse gates, or heavy equipment, you need something that's just tough and stands on its own. And that, my friends, is where heavy-duty padlocks come into play.
Now, with padlocks, the game changes just a little bit. While you still want it to be hard to pick, the number one threat is often just a brute force attack. Someone with a big pair of bolt cutters or a saw. This is where the actual materials become absolutely critical. The shackle, that's the U-shaped part, on a top-of-the-line padlock like the E&E series is made from a boron alloy. This stuff is exceptionally hard, which gives it incredible resistance against cutting tools.
And you can see right here how the tiers of protection stack up. Both the Protector and C-Series padlocks give you what's rated as high security, and that's fantastic for most industrial situations. But look at the NE series. It jumps all the way up to maximum security. That's the level you need when you're protecting critical infrastructure or incredibly high-value assets, places where failure just isn't an option.
So the applications just break down pretty logically. The NE series is for that top-level, mission-critical stuff. The C series is your go-to for securing gates, warehouses, and containers. And the Protector series is a great all-around high-security option for things like storage units or general equipment. It is all about matching the lock to the level of risk.
Now, security doesn't just stop at doors and gates. The very same high security principles get scaled down and adapted for all sorts of specialized needs, protecting everything from sensitive files to heavy machinery.
Two great examples are cam locks and switch locks. Cam locks basically take that same high security cylinder tech and shrink it down into a small package that's perfect for things like file cabinets, server racks, or lockers. Switch locks take it a step further. They're actually integrated electrical switches that you need a key to operate. This is absolutely crucial for preventing someone from just turning on a dangerous machine or getting into an electrical panel they have no business being in.
Okay, wow, we have seen the technology inside cylinders, padlocks, and even these really specialized locks. So now, let's bring it all home. How do you actually choose the right level of protection for what you need?
Here's a quick look at how these different locks match up with different jobs. I mean, you wouldn't use a little cam lock on a giant warehouse gate, right? And you wouldn't use a massive padlock on a filing cabinet. The real takeaway here, is understanding the specific job each lock was built to do.
You know, this quote from the source material really just nails it. It sums everything up perfectly. Effective security doesn't start with just buying the most expensive lock you can find. It starts with knowledge, it starts with understanding what you're protecting and what you're protecting it from.
So here's a simple 3-step framework you can use. First, assess your threat. Are you worried about a sophisticated lockpicker or a brute force attack with a crowbar? Second, identify the application. Is it your main entrance or a storage locker in the back? And finally, match the features to your needs. Do you really need that patented key control we talked about? Or is maximum cut resistance the most important thing? Answering these simple questions will point you right to the perfect choice.
In the end, a great lock is absolutely an essential part of your security, but it's still just one part. It's a single line of defense in what really should be a much bigger, layered strategy. So the real question to leave you with is this: now that your lock is sorted, what's your next move?